Through OPTEX-GPT, Hypothalamus Artificial Intelligence will be your advisor for the best decision-making. Hy presents his actual research and development plus innovation projects, based on artificial intelligence, focused on generating a new version of OPTEX Optimization Expert System, that we'll call OPTEX-GPT. The future is now. OPTEX Optimization Expert System is a new vision of mathematical programming. OPTEX Optimization Expert System is a generative artificial intelligence focused on the design, implementation, startup, and maintenance of high-complexity mathematical programming models. OPTEX was created by Decisionware Limited, DW, in 1990, and it can be considered the father of the artificial business brains produced by Hy, a DW spin-off company. The way the mathematical modeler communicates with OPTEX is through a standardized database, a unique data model for all mathematical problems or subproblems. It also allows you to perform high-level operations between models, such as joining or splitting them, and implementing multi-problem solutions, according to large-scale optimization technologies, or using multi-problem procedures, such as constructing optimal numerical functions. This allows the modeler to build mathematical frameworks in the same way that Lego models are built. A mathematical model stored in an information system can be conceived as the union of mathematical components harmoniously integrated. There are two types of components, or objects: basic mathematical definitions, indexes, sets, parameters, and equations or constraints. Advanced concepts, problems, models, decision support systems, and artificial hypothalamuses. These components can be stored in a relational information system. It permits their handling in a modular way. Following the principles of relational information systems, and use structured query language, SQL, to manipulate the mathematical objects. This conceptualization is independent of optimization technologies, which allows to separate the formulation of the mathematical models from their implementation, using a specific optimization technology. It is an expert system optimization, an element of AI. An expert system, S, is a computer program that is designed to solve complex problems, and to provide decision-making ability like a human expert. It performs this by extracting knowledge from its knowledge database using the reasoning and inference rules according to the user queries. The expert system is a part of AI, and the first S was developed in the year 1970, which was the first successful approach of artificial intelligence. An expert system is a computer program that uses artificial intelligence to solve problems. These systems mimic the reasoning of a human expert in a specific field, in this case a mathematical modeler. OPTEX helps professionals who are not experts in a subject, when a problem needs to be solved quickly, accurately and easily, as well as the design and implementation of algorithms. The expert system is specified in a database that stores the model's information and tools to process them. The expert system eliminates the complexity of algorithm programming, facilitating access to mathematical modeling by non-programming expert professionals. Expert systems were created as part of artificial intelligence but not oriented to neural networks. Mathematical modeling expert systems. A knowledge-based system, KBS, must store two types of knowledge: mathematical components, equations, problems, models, previously used and working properly. This information is generated by the modeler who builds the mathematical models and their entire operating environment, and results of previous runs to speed up the solution of new problems. This information is generated by the math models when they are used, and correspond to the trajectories of the variables involved in these models. The use of this information is totally dynamic, since it depends on the value of the input parameters in each new run. The definition of the models is done by filling in the blanks of the tables of the expert system, which can be done in multiple ways. One of them, standardized tables filled in Word or Excel. Joining, or splitting models, is done by keeping records in tables. The diagram on the right shows the structure of a decision support system, or an artificial brain, to support companies in the electricity sector. OPTEX, Hy's artificial intelligence to develop artificial brains, manages the artificial hippocampus, it is oriented to make high-complexity large-scale mathematical models without programming. The models are built in a modular way, as if they were a Lego set, which are formed by a compatible system of equations, the Leo parts, for all models. Structured modeling allows OPTEX to consistently handle tens, hundreds, thousands, and generally any number of models and all of their components. These models share components such as constraints, variables, etc. The algorithms are generated by OPTEX, following the user's instructions, which can take multiple forms, such as a timer, or triggering the algorithm from another algorithm, or manually in any window. OPTEX automatically provides a hologram of the standard user interface, which is generated inline as the user explores the system. OPTEX's standardization, while limiting the modeler in the creative development of their programs, allows OPTEX to be the artificial intelligence, generating all the programming components necessary to implement an artificial brain, which is the new artificial intelligence, which replaces the decision-making support systems of the past. To do this, OPTEX generate the artificial hypothalamus algorithm, which is based on a mathematical language between robots, based on the theory of duality, and which allows to solve multiple problems, under a scheme that we can call autonomous real-time distributed optimization, similar to how the human hypothalamus operates. Making very large-scale models by the traditional way, using a computer programmer, it is an impossible way, because the programmer only can write a limited number of lines of good source code per period. Maintaining these models can be more complicated than doing them, if more than one programmer intervenes in the process. OPTEX can produce infinite lines of perfect source code per period. At the limit, if the user wishes, OPTEX can perform the entire process in a single step, until the results are delivered. There is no need to store intermediate results. All the information processed by OPTEX comes from the expert system database. OPTEX was built as a high-level artificial intelligence that makes artificial intelligences. That is robots making robots, that make robots, that make robots like OPTEX, from whom they inherit their characteristics. Starting from a real-world problem. For implementing complex mathematical models from MS Word, the stages are: first, convert the algebraic model to a formulation in MS Word, in the form of tables. Starting from a real-world problem. For implementing complex mathematical models from MS Word, the stages are: first, convert the algebraic model to a formulation in MS Word, in the form of tables. Second, convert MS Word tables into CSV files in standardized ANSI format. This may require an intermediate step that goes through MS Excel tables. Third, upload the CSV files to the OPTEX database. This process is carried out with the support of OPTEX, which automatically validates that the mathematical elements are correctly formulated. The database in OPTEX corresponds to the expert system, which is based on mathematics and is error-free. Fourth, generation of the source program of the mathematical model on the selected computational platform. The second step may be shortened, loading the information from MS Word directly to OPTEX, using the MS Windows clipboard. Generative Pretrained Transformers, GPT, are a family of neural network models that uses the transformer architecture, and is a key advancement in artificial intelligence, powering generative AI applications such as ChatGPT. GPT models give applications the ability to create human-like text and content, images, music, and more, and answer questions conversationally. Organizations across industries are using GPT models and generative AI for conda, text digesting, content generation, and search bots. Source: aws.amazon.com. In 2017, GPT networks emerged, increasing the long-term memory, the number of words that can be used to predict the next word. Additionally, GPT networks can analyze context, since they can handle models with relationships between words, phrases, paragraphs, other levels of word grouping. In 2018, Google launched BERT, the first GPT network with practical applications. Like any statistical model, accuracy depends on the sample, quality and size, and the number of parameters used. Currently, LLMs can estimate billions of parameters. This is due to the power of today's computer science. OPTEX-GPT will be based on specialized LLMs, intended to handle different aspects of the mathematical modeling process throughout the life cycle of mathematical models. Today it would be forever. The process of uploading OPTEX will be a more interactive activity through generative artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT omnichannel. In this way, the user will be able to communicate with the OPTEX model database and use all the documents produced by Hive for the management of the system. All through a conversation, out loud if you will, with OPTEX-GPT. At the limit, if the user wishes, OPTEX-GPT can perform the entire process in a single step, until the results are delivered. There is no need to store intermediate results. The basis of the OPTEX-GPT conversation will be based on so-called prompting engineering, called by Hive as the engineering of ideas. Following the principles of Generative Pretrained Transformer AI, OPTEX-GPT will be the advisor that helps mathematical modelers and professional users when they require solutions in line with today's cutting-edge technology. OPTEX-GPT is focused on the implementation of artificial brains, conceived as a union of optimization multi-problem models with information systems. A large language model, LLM, is a statistical language model trained on a large amount of data that can be used to generate and translate text and other content, as well as perform other natural language processing (NLP) tasks. LLM has existed since 1990 within the field of computational linguistics, which is a subdiscipline of artificial intelligence. The basic statistical model of language consists of probabilistically predicting the word that follows a chain of previous words. In this way we can construct a sentence as a set of words, construct a paragraph as a group of sentences, and from groups of paragraphs construct a chapter, and so on. Like any statistical model, its parameters must be estimated. Since 2000 the LLMs are done using specialized artificial neural networks, recurrent networks and long short-term memory, LSTM, nets. OPTEX Optimization Expert System. OPTEX is an optimization technology aimed at producing artificial brains as the technological and logical evolution of current decision support systems moved by humans to enterprise-wide optimization systems, moved by robots, called EWOS. OPTEX is the artificial intelligence produced by Hive, which manufactures EWOS, for Industry 4.0. Artificial intelligence, and more specifically LLMs, take their information from what they consider to be expert systems. Traditional expert systems store information provided by experts, individuals who have great knowledge about a field, but experience who may have more than one of real-world interpretation, and therefore these systems include uncertainty. Today there are multiple methodologies to process an expert system. One of them is GPT, which in its most basic form is a model of large neural networks that estimates statistical models of millions of parameters. If there are differences in the structure of two expert systems, or in their content, they will have similar, but not the same, parameters. An expert system oriented to mathematical modeling must be analyzed from 2 points of view. The data model that defines the structure of the expert information system, and the mathematical models that are stored in this database. The expert system is the basis of OPTEX's generative artificial intelligence, which eliminates programming in the production process of solutions for the end user. As its name says, it stores the information given by an expert, in this case a mathematical modeler. Due to the nature of mathematics, being an exact science, it cannot have errors or inconsistencies. This means that if it is explored by a GPT AI, it should always give the same answers. In 2017, GPT networks emerged, increasing the long-term memory, the number of words that can be used to predict the next word. Additionally, GPT networks can analyze context, since they can handle models with relationships between words, phrases, paragraphs, other levels of word grouping. In 2018, Google launched BERT, the first GPT network with practical applications. Like any statistical model, accuracy depends on the sample, quality and size, and the number of parameters used. Currently, LLMs can estimate billions of parameters. This is due to the power of today's computer science. The essence of the project is focused on uniting the OPTEX database with an artificial intelligence, built following the methodologies of the GPT artificial neural networks. OPTEX-GPT is the union of an expert system specialized in optimization with the methodologies and technologies of GPT artificial intelligence. The process of uploading OPTEX will be a more interactive activity through generative artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT Omnichannel 4.0. In this way, the user will be able to communicate with the OPTEX model database, and use all the documents produced by Hy for the management of the system. All through a conversation, out loud if you will, with OPTEX-GPT. OPTEX-GPT will be a specialized generative artificial intelligence to work in the OPTEX Optimization Expert System environment, which will be powered by mathematical models that exist in the current OPTEX database, and of all new models, and/or the algebraic components that will be introduced. The first type of information that the OPTEX-GPT database should store is from the correct configuration of the MEs. The modeler will be able to configure the required algorithms, link them together, and generate the computational code of their choice. Finally, he/she will be ready to run the multi-problem models. An evolved OPTEX-GPT could help experts in field problems, but not experts in mathematical modeling, to generate advanced, ready-to-run mathematical models. On the other hand, from this knowledge information, OPTEX-GPT will help the user build new mathematical models. Several GPT models will be developed to serve users with different levels of experience. The main product is the management of MEs, Mathematical Modeling Information System. The data source for building a model can be the description of the real model, and/or the algebraic formulation, and/or pre-existing models in the OPTEX database. Although it may not seem practical, when GPT voice interfaces are ready to use, the interaction with OPTEX-GPT could be speech-to-speech. OPTEX-GPT will become the new user interface of OPTEX, with the same current capabilities that are based on the ability to manage the database, by different ways. Currently, OPTEX can mix multiple problems from one application and multiple models from various applications. This is done by enabling or disabling connections in the Mathematical Model Information System, MES. In this way, a non-modeling expert user can build their own models from Hy's extensive model database. The world's most comprehensive mathematical modeling expert system is the collection of articles offered by multiple sources, such as technical journals, books, and more. Another source of information, commonly used to produce mathematical models, are publications, free of charge or acquired from publishers, which must be consulted by mathematical modelers, and from there, adapt the models they are going to implement. The idea is that OPTEX-GPT can help in this process of normalization of unstructured information sources to information structures in MES. What's included for using AI OCR tools? To produce different types of documents aimed at storing their contents in the expert system. This new mathematical models must be revised by OPTEX and by the modeler. This connection will allow inexperienced users to convert the content of articles of interest into models, or tell OPTEX-GPT that it locates models according to their interests, and put them into the expert system. Another of the functions of OPTEX-GPT will be aimed at supporting users in specific applications, to accompany them in the process of elaboration, or selection, of mathematical models, the loading of industrial databases, and the interpretation of the results. The main product is the management of IDIS, Industrial Data Information System. This work will be advised by OPTEX-GPT, based on the data model of the IDIS database. This includes the verification of the validity of the database, considering the metadata of each of the fields of the tables. OPTEX-GPT will manage the documents that are produced for the end user. Another type of document is the general-purpose document on a topic. These documents are produced by Hy or come from other sources such as journals. As an advisor, OPTEX-GPT will have access to a database of documents, some generic and some specific, to facilitate the understanding of the company-wide optimization system by the user group. The central column of OPTEX-GPT is an information system made up of two large systems: the current expert system of OPTEX, and the new GPT-oriented knowledge information system. The latter information system integrates the following sources of data: the expert system of OPTEX, OPTEX documentation, all its manuals and supplementary documents, technical thematic documentation from different sources, the main one being HI's white papers, as they are aligned with HI's holistic vision, paper of journals, research reports, and information from the models developed by HI, and the user database. In this way, modelers and users will be able to use the new OPTEX-GPT interface. Finally, a fundamental activity that OPTEX-GPT should support is the development of specialized activities related to the mission of developing highly complex models. These activities are commercial, aimed at monetizing HI's intellectual property, and project execution. HI has organized the execution of these activities around process manuals, organized with GPT's prompting engineering concept. This process is initially supported by the OPTEX-GPT database, and is fed by the problem associated with the project, and the activities carried out by the mathematical modeler. In the first part of the execution of the project, or of the commercial activity, documents must be generated, or used, or modified, aimed at delivering to the end user, the documents that support the activity. These documents are white papers or videos, or PDF presentations. Prompting engineering is supported by the sequential generation of standard documents, which can feed into each other. If the activity involves the implementation of mathematical models, in the end the algorithms will be obtained and delivered to the user. All the information generated will become part of the OPTEX-GPT database. With OPTEX-GPT, HI aims to optimally solve, in real time, the key questions required by Industry 4.0 executives. How much and when to produce of each final product, in each factory of the company, when and when to produce in each production unit of intermediate products, how to distribute production to the different consumption centers, and in general, all the questions that become the nightmares of the company's managers. Given today's computational power, these questions are becoming more detailed and require more precise answers. Are you ready to harness the power of artificial brains and apply it to real-world challenges? Like Herbert Simon, Hypothalamus Artificial Intelligence believes that the computer-based mathematical modeling is the greatest invention of all times. Thank you for your attention.